Seated behind me are the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, who of course is also the Vice President of the United States. Madam Speaker, Madam President, distinguished members of Congress, honored guests, and my fellow Americans. The United States is unquestionably number one in the industrialized world. Number one in our use of the world's resources. Number one in the production of pollution. Number one in the gap between the rich and the poor. Number one in deaths by gunfire. Number one in teen pregnancy. Number one in poverty among the elderly. Number one in citizens without health coverage. Number one in child poverty. Number one in homeless veterans. And number one in citizens behind bars. We are the world's number one debtor nation. Number one in the creation of new billionaires. Number one in school dropouts. Number one in poverty, homelessness, hunger, divorce, suicide, and oh yes, number one in military power, nuclear weapons, and military spending, as much as all the other countries in the world combined. We also lead the world in the number of hours worked per family, since it now takes 2 wage earners and 3 jobs to bring in the same income you could get with 1 job working 40 hours a week in the 1950s. In spite of soaring productivity, real wages in this country today are 1/3 of what they were in the 1950s. If it wasn't for corporate control of our government and the resulting trickle-down economics, ordinary workers could support their families working 1 job, working 2 days a week. Would you like to have a 5-day weekend every week? If worker pay had kept up with executive pay, ordinary workers in this country would be making $1 million a year, and the minimum wage would be $171 an hour. What do you call a country where the gap between the rich and the poor grows beyond bounds, whose principal exports are wood pulp and scrap metal, whose principal imports are manufactured goods, and whose fastest growing industry is the construction and operation of private prisons? I think you could call it a third world country. That is the State of the Union we have inherited. In our government's drive to protect the far-flung financial interests of multinational corporations, we have abandoned our principles and fought wars of aggression against small countries. We have overthrown popularly elected leaders and installed puppet dictators who will sell out their own people to our corporations. In our drive toward a corporate new world order, we have sold out our workers, our families, our environment, our children's futures, and the American dream. This too is the State of the Union we have inherited. Now, we've had the opportunity to build a land without want. What went wrong? Why are our workers paid such a tiny percentage of their true worth? Why are we the only major nation without a national health program? Why are our high school graduates 2 years behind their counterparts in other countries? Why are we hated by so many around the world? Why do we have hundreds of thousands of troops patrolling foreign lands and supporting foreign dictators? What's going on here? Well, the answer, I'm afraid, is that we have lost our republic. Legislators no longer represent the people who elect them, but the corporations who finance them. They answer not to their constituents, but to the lobbyists who line their pockets and fill their campaign coffers. For years now, through both major political parties, the world's billionaires have directed U.S. policy for their own personal profit. This has included agreements like NAFTA, CAFTA, and the World Trade Organization, falsely portrayed as supporting free trade, but in reality promoting free investment, overturning U.S. laws, and putting American workers in competition with those in the third world. NAFTA, for example, has destroyed the standard of living and quality of life on both sides of the Rio Grande. And by driving Mexican farmers off the land, is largely responsible for the flood of illegal immigrants into our country. Corporate control of our government has also resulted in a series of wars, from Iraq to Bosnia to Kosovo to Afghanistan to Iraq again. Wars which are never in the interest of those fighting them or of the families left behind. Wars which only serve the insatiable greed of the global investor class. Corporate power over our political system, over the media, and over most aspects of our lives is the greatest danger we face today. Those of us who dedicate our lives to peace, economic justice, and environmental preservation can make little progress in our struggles so long as ultimate power is in the hands of those who profit from war, poverty, and pollution.
All right.